Why did you say yes to this?
I said yes to this because I'm usually making videos that are like 60 seconds long. And sometimes, it's always important to release something. Because I know someday, I'm going to stop making videos. And I don't want my legacy to be like just 60-second clips, 90-second clips. I want people to look back and sort of see the growth and the progress along the way. It's 2025. This is the second podcast I've done. And obviously, second podcast that I've done. And I just feel like it's something that'll be a piece of history for myself and yourself. And you never know, the way the trajectory is looking, you can always look back at this podcast and be like, no, we need to get him in again because so much has been achieved since this episode, or hopefully by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
And the second part, which I'm holding you to, we'll get that done. There'll be a lot of achievements. And
I like that.
Yeah, so that's why.
Amazing.
And that's always fun to have a conversation.
Yeah, because I always like to know intention. I know we haven't officially kind of started, but I'm sure we can chuck this in anyway. But yeah, intention is always an interesting one, like why someone will firstly say yes and then actually sit here. What is it that they want out of this? So,
a 50% showcase, 50% as well, like, obviously, the connection that put us two together is obviously an absolute gentleman. And you know what? Can't say no to someone like that. And obviously, it's a high-quality production. So why not? With high-quality conversations that you've had along the way. So makes sense for me, makes sense for you.
I like it.
Here we are.
Amazing. All right. Let's go back 20 steps. We just get straight into it. I love it, Teddy. All right. So before I do get started properly, I want to thank our sponsors. So we've got Task Buddy AI. So for business owners, it is your employee. They're never late. They never call in sick. They're always on task. How crazy is this world? Like the fact that now we can hire a bot and the bot does everything for you.
Of course. And they do it efficiently too.
So when I heard about this, just that notion of never calls in sick, never has annual leave and does everything 24 hours of the day. I love it.
And that's probably like just like half of it.
Exactly.
Think about tax, think about super,
exactly.
Think about wages, think about any business these days. What's their biggest issue? It's probably payroll.
Exactly.
So, you get yourself a Task Buddy AI.
That's it.
And you're not worried about payroll anymore, are you?
That's it.
There you go. Get that in you.
Get that. They're going to sponsor you too, I think.
Hey, no, you know what? Take that money and give her a pay rise.
Yeah, that's it. I do. I need a pay rise. There we go.
It. Taboos for the pay rise.
Taboos for the pay rise. I am so damn honoured to have you here today. Teddy, Tedsthetics, I guess that's what everyone knows you for. I want to know the person underneath the social media aspect of you. You've got your tagline, which is...
You can't change my mind.
You can't change my mind. And you always say it with, like, there's anger in your tone.
I say it with conviction. It's never anger.
That's
Everyone
a better
just
word.
watches the video and they're like, man, you're always angry. And I'm like, no, man, I just got conviction in what I say. I say it in a way and I deliver it in a way that I make sure that when you're watching it, you're like, nah, surely I got to see what this guy's talking about.
Perception. You speak really well. You're like early 30s. You speak really well. You've obviously been raised right.
Thank you. The other day, I got Task Buddy installed into me. And that's how we got this going.
I love that. God, you're good for sponsorship. Damn.
Hey, I'm just looking after you.
Yeah.
Looking after you, looking after the potty. But thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
I appreciate you. Do you know what I also just realised the other day? Your name is not Teddy.
Yeah, to everyone's surprised. My name's not Theodore. My name's not Theodore. It's not Teddy.
Where did Teddy come from? Because your proper name is it Rachid?
Rachid. Yeah, you nailed it.
I'm an Arab. We should say Rachid.
Rachid.
And with the...
Do you know the meaning of Rachid?
La.
No. Okay, the meaning of Rachid is a wise man. So, someone is a Rachid, it means they're wise.
Do you feel like you have to play up to that?
Nah, I just go the opposite way. That's why I went with Teddy. No, honestly, like it's spelled with a CH. So everyone like growing up would be like, oh, Richard. And like they just butcher it, right? So I was just like, you know what? When I make my username online, it would just be Teddy, which was a high school nickname. So I just went with that because I was a chubby teenager and I looked like a teddy bear. So I was like, you know what? Teddy bear. And I'm like, nah, teddy bear is a bit cringe. I'll just go with Teddy. So I typed in Teddy, didn't work. And then the initial name was I'm Mr. Teddy. And then when I was documenting my bodybuilding journey, it was Tedsthetics. Aesthetics, Teddy.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. So you went from a chubby kid, fat kid, to working in a gym.
Yes, pretty much. I was playing soccer growing up or football and we were doing that till I was like 15, 16. And then I was just playing indoor soccer. Got injured and then the doctor tells you something that every soccer player hates to hear. if you want to rehabilitate, you got to go into the gym and start training. So I started training, injured my knee. So I was just training legs, going into the gym, and I just fell in love with it. And then obviously, you're at a certain age when you're like 16, 17, you're like, obviously, girls are not going to look at me if I look like this. And it just fell hand in hand. So I was just like, you know what? Let's lose some weight to probably ease up a bit of pressure on the knees as well.
Okay.
And yeah, just fell in love with the gym. And then I was just like, this is awesome. Let's say the best two places to network is a place of worship and a gym. So I was just meeting awesome people in the gym. I was having fun, just boys together. A lot of testosterone, a lot of alpha males. So it was fun. And yeah, I was just like, I'll do my certs in fitness. I'll start working in the gym. And yeah, the rest is history.
So you're a personal trainer?
Yeah, ex-personal trainer, yeah.
Okay, ex-personal trainer.
Yeah.
So are you practicing any of that now?
Nah, honestly, like I did a confession like probably not too long ago on my Instagram stories where I said like I've just fallen out of love with the gym. I've, obviously grew up working in a gym. Like for people who probably like watching this, I started at Dermot when I was 21 working there, and now I'm 31 and I left like 2 years ago, right? So that's like 9 years of in and out of Dermot, whether I was training there or working there. And probably like the past 6 months, just with injuries, life happening, priorities shifting, just the gym has really taken the back seat for me.
Okay.
And every time I go in, I'm just like, man, I'm only here because I have to be here, or else I really wouldn't. I'd rather be playing video games or something, or making videos, just being completely honest and
So
transparent.
are you now full-time content creating?
Full-time, making videos. Yeah, I know. What a time to be alive.
Okay, I need to understand this, right? Obviously, there's a bit of a difference in generations here. I don't get it. We were raised, and I'm sure you were too, you work hard, this whole internet thing is a side thing. Like, if anyone wants to be an influencer or a TikToker or whatever it is, that's just a side situation. But you have now made a career out of it. How does that work?
So I think the main confusion is like, how do you make money, right? Everyone is just like, how do you make money? Really, when it comes to social media, it's just brand deals initially. There are some platforms that do pay directly. So you got YouTube that pays directly. Facebook pays directly. So I've started posting on Facebook and they pay me.
Was that hard for you to...
USD. So,
Was that hard to work out? Because you wouldn't have grown up. Did you grow up with Facebook?
I grew up with Facebook. I was playing Farmville and Mafia was on Facebook. Are you serious? Those are the days. I grew up on MySpace and then did
okay.
Yeah, so Bebo, MySpace.
Not that much of an age difference.
No, you're still young. So,
Well, there's still 13, 12 years between us. So
you're still a baby.
I'll take it.
Anyways, MySpace, Bebo, graduated to Facebook. So like Facebook was sort of always there. And then I think sort of Facebook went through a dip when Instagram, Snapchat and everything took over. And yeah, Facebook has sort of bounced back. Super appreciative of Meta sort of invited me out to their head office in Sydney. They sort of just said like, hey, we're actually helping creators now. We're not just sort of like the social media for old people. They just go on there, catch up with their family overseas or, catch up with friends or family from high school. We're actually like trying to support creators. And one of the ways is obviously monetary. So they pay and obviously brand deals. So anytime there's a sponsorship or a brand wants to advertise something, the money is made through there. Initially, when I first started, for me, it was just a side thing. Honestly, there's probably a podcast. This is why I like doing podcasts at the start where I was like, I don't even want to make money from this. This is just so much fun. I love making videos. And then, you see the money that comes through or, like you hear hypothetical, deals that happen overseas. And you're just like, oh, is this possible in Australia?
Remember hypothetical, like other people who make deals, like really big deals.
Really
and
big
you're
deal.
like...
Yeah, definitely. Like you see big deals and you're like, but maybe because like America is just such a huge market, or in Asia, there's such a huge market, Europe, such a huge market that there's money there. Whilst in Australia, a bit of a glass ceiling, a bit of even like till this day, I'm just under 500,000 followers on Instagram, just over 500,000 on TikTok and just under 200K on Facebook. And we are talking, we're talking like till this day, I've still got to justify why I charge a certain amount, all right? And the market's the market.
Really?
And there are people in America, or even just like in an interstate that are making more just because like people just get it. But it's a constant battle, which I'm happy to fight every single time.
Good.
Yeah.
So you're a hustler.
Yeah, hustler. And also got to make sure, when it comes to business, friendship is friendship.
Yeah,
and
good.
also I got to remember that I've got 2 daughters. And as I was telling you earlier, I've got Adina looking up and she was like, I want to make videos too one day. And if I don't fight for the value now, imagine the one day that she gets to make videos, So for every dollar I earn, hopefully she gets to earn $100 in the future.
How do you work that out? like how much you should be getting paid for a partnership or some sponsor deal or any of that? How do you know?
Honestly, at the start, I was just like, I'll just throw a figure, and if they take it, they take it. And then, so some, worked out, some didn't. And, that's the punt I was happy to take. And then after that, you sort of, all right, cool. I've gained X followers, or, the viewership's gone up, the engagement's gone up. Mm. And then you sort of like recalculate, readjust in the financial year, or at the start of every year, you sort of adjust that and go from there. And I think as well, like sometimes most companies will come to you with an offer, and you're like, oh, that sounds about right. That sounds about fair. You take it, especially if it's like, because sometimes what people don't realize is ads attract ads. So sometimes you doing an ad for someone might attract you 3-4 other ads.
Yeah.
Right? Because they'll be like, oh, he actually advertises. So let me, or he's worked for so-and-so brand. Cool. Let me, good enough for JD Sports or good enough for Jana. Like if it's good enough for them, then why don't we sort of jump on board and advertise, because they see the potential there. And we work with whatever comes through. So
when you say we, do you have a
No, me, myself, and I. That's a staff meeting. That's a staff meeting, and now I've got a videographer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a staff meeting. Whenever I'm having a staff meeting, it's just me, myself, and I.
Just all three of you. You could use Task Buddy on that.
Yeah, I know. I should. I should definitely get on that. Maybe it might help me with some few tasks.
Exactly. Can I ask, this is a little bit of a question. I don't like talking about money, and you can say, no, I'm not talking about that shit. Yeah. But what is it that let's say from amount where you'd be like, I am never doing anything below this particular amount? Yeah,
for sure. So when it comes to videos, it can be as low as 2.5, so 2,500.
Yep.
And it could be as high as 15, 20 grand.
And do you guarantee that there's going to be, I've got a minimum of this amount, I know this how many people will share it or whatever it is?
So you share insights from social media where you're like, hey, like these are my insights. This is the average viewership or, engagement over the past 90 days. And then that's honestly the brand's, decision ultimately to come up with and be like, hey, you know what? This is worth the money. I think the best way I explain it to business, especially small businesses, which are super hesitant, how much would you pay for 100,000 customers to walk past your shop? Not going to buy, they're just going to walk past. How much, if you're if you're on Barry Road and, we want 100,000 people to walk past, which is a main road in the northern suburbs. I'll pay 100,000 people to walk past your shop in the next 24 hours or, in the next 7 days. How much would you pay for that? Like, I'll probably pay about 2.5, 3 grand. Cool. I can borderline guarantee that. Or you could sort of go through the numbers on the back end and sort of decide if that's sort of worth it for you. Because sometimes all it takes is that one right purchase and it could change the trajectory of your business, right?
100%. When you first started this, I'm guessing was this a vision? Where you're at now?
No. As I said to you earlier, honestly, I started making videos for fun. In high school, I was a media gun. Straight A student in media. Okay. So I've always had love for media, love for digital media, so social media and all of that stuff. I enjoyed making videos. Okay. And then it started off as one of those things. So back in the days when you used to post stories, you couldn't share them with people. People would have to screenshot it or screen record it to send it. So people would be messaging me. They'll be like, oh, post it on your, what's it called? Because this was on Snapchat. People would be like, I'll post it on your feed. But I'm not posting video on a feed. What the hell? And then, like I said, I've always been into media, and the initial idea was to be a ghostwriter for content creators. So I wanted to write scripts. And I remember turning to a few of my mates and being like, bro, I really want to get into this. If there's a good podcast, a good content creator, now that I'm in it, 4 years in it, I can tell you there are days where the ideas run dry. Sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I had someone to sort of lean on and sort of bounce ideas off of. I wanted to be that person. And one of my good mates was like, bro, all right, you're a good writer, but do you have any proof, any numbers to back it up? And I'm like, when he said that, I was like, oh, that's a bit stiff. But at the same time, I was like, he's got a point. How do I turn around to someone and be like, I can write you a viral video or a potential viral video? And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll start making some videos on TikTok and Instagram and I'll start posting them. So I started posting them and the first few went viral and I just haven't stopped posting since.
Why do you think they went viral? What's the secret? The secret to make something go viral?
The secret to make something go viral, you got to have a really catchy hook, which was my signature line. You can't change my mind. Because as soon as I say ABC and you can't change my mind, most people that are on the internet are stubborn. They're going to be like, no, I'm going to watch till the end and see what this guy is talking about. And then the rest of it is just
Very
really
smart.
good. Yeah, the rest of it is really good storytelling, relatability, and engagement. So in terms of storytelling, obviously, that's why books become top sellers.
Yep.
So you just got to have a good start, a great middle, and even better ending, because the ending makes it relatable and people share it. You think of all the reels that, kids share, that parents share and everything. It's always very relatable. Oh, this made me think of you, so I'm going to send it to you. So that's essentially the secrets of virality. And honestly, it's not a secret. It's out there. It's for everyone to go out there, make videos, make content, and take that recipe. But you can have the best recipe on earth. You can take Gordon Ramsay's book of recipes, jump in the kitchen, but you're not going to make it like him. It's going to take a lot of practice, a lot of reps. And essentially, I look at my first video, I cringe at how much I was shaking and everything. And you just get better with time.
I think I remember when you first started. I remember seeing your videos going, interesting concept. But honestly, like it just, because there was so many people trying to make, especially during COVID time, everyone was putting up stuff. And it's like, you didn't know who was going to be consistent with it and who wasn't. And you have stayed disciplined. How do you stay disciplined in a world like that?
So staying disciplined essentially was just a commitment to myself. I was like, if I just post a video 3 times a week, I'm good. I've, carried my end of the bargain. As like I said earlier, you show up for your audience will show up for you. And for me, it was just like, if I can consistently post, come up with funny topics to talk about, just keep away from anything controversial, keep away from anything that's sort of like jarring, like religion will be one of them, politics or anything like that. Just make content about things that people enjoy. If you're at a barbecue or you're at a family gathering, this is the stuff you talk about. Or, why is steak so expensive, or why are eggs this price, or, just something funny, relatable. And that's it. And I just challenge myself till this day. I still struggle with, coming up with concepts, but we make it work.
How do you come up with the concepts?
Honestly, an idea will just come. I'll put it in my Apple Notes and just improv.
Do you ChatGPT anything?
I've started for some of my content, but ChatGPT is so unreliable.
You reckon?
Because, yeah, definitely. I feel, it's outdated. And sometimes like people can sort of feel the energy through content. So when I'm there and I'm, making a video, and if it's sort of like ChatGPT, you'll probably feel it.
Yeah.
So I've used it to help me research topics, but other than like actually joke writing, it's just me there coming up with it on the spot. Or like, I'll think of like a really funny line, just put it in my Apple Notes, and I'll be like, cool. If I ever make a video about food, I'm going to say this joke and go down that path. So
how do you work out which suburb to go to?
Oh, with the suburbs one is fun. So I think census, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so I browse the census like an old person. And I sit there and I'm just like, this is a interesting suburb. Well, right now it's feedback based in terms of like people tell me where to go.
Yeah.
But at the start it was just like census. A lot of people live here. It's also the good thing about the suburb videos is you either live there, you know someone who's lived there, you've dated someone who's lived there, or you've played footy against them. So somehow, even though there's only like a population of 20,000 people in a suburb, those suburb videos cross 500,000 views on Facebook alone. Because someone always knows someone, the community likes to get around it.
Yeah.
And I think the magic behind that is people always like, how do you know these hyper local information? Like you have to have lived in this suburb to know this. And I'm like, I'm a professional, I do my research and we make it work.
Do you go to the suburb beforehand, suss it out, get some feedback, or is it literally just research online?
I'm just waiting for Caltex or 7-Eleven to sponsor my petrol and I'll be able to do that. But
Caltex.
Yeah.
Do it.
Definitely. Or CityLink. I'll definitely take the tolls paid.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's 50-50. There are some suburbs that I've just brushed shoulders with. So I'm sort of like have a rough idea.
Okay.
And sometimes like there's no harm in sort of reaching out to someone from that area and being like, bro, I'm covering your suburb. Like, what do you reckon I should mention? And they'll be like, ABC 1, 2, 3. And there are some people that are useless. Be like, oh, what's that? How many times I'll go to a suburb and people will be like, bro, I love your videos. Oh, you doing my suburb? I'm like, yeah. What is there to talk about? They're like, oh, there's not a whole lot going on here. And then I'll make like a full 60 to 70 second video about the suburb and it'll cross like 2 million views. So it's like, so obviously there's something going on. It's just two different visions.
Yeah.
Their perspective, they're always living there. So they think, oh yeah, this is just normal. Then I'll go there and I'll be like, isn't it weird that you guys have a random statue of a cow in the middle of your shopping center? But you point out those little things and people are like, Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember
So-
the one that you did with carpet in a shopping centre, and I was like, that
Baronia.
is... Oh, it was a Baronia.
Baronia.
Okay. And see, now that all makes sense.
Yeah, that was like the Antiques Roadshow.
Oh, God.
Because people were just reaching out. They're like, yeah, you need to go Baronia Mall. It's super old, dated. Make a video about it. And honestly, I just see it as a suburb profile that I know. Good thing about suburb stereotypes, they don't sort of change very often. And I tell people I'm from Broadmeadows, Meadow Heights, and they automatically assume, right? And that same stereotype was the same stereotype from 20, 30 years ago. It's the same thing with my suburb videos. I know if I make a video about suburbs, I can repost it a year from now and the information is still relevant.
Relevant, yes.
So, I really focus on making evergreen content. And I know that people are always going to be searching for suburbs. Before you move into a suburb, you're probably going to search it up on TikTok. You're going to search it up on YouTube, Facebook. And whose head you're going to see?
That's yours.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you said before that you try and stay away from certain topics like religion, right? But then when let's say on your stories, you do talk very openly about religion. And I want to talk about that part. So one, why don't you put, I mean, it does speak for itself, but in your, let's say in your words, why don't you put any religious context in your feeds or in your posts?
So with the posts, I think there's just so much, like when you start talking about religion, the more you talk about it, the more you realize how much you don't know, right? And then I think the online space with religion, and this goes for any faith, there's a lot of preachers without qualifications, and I don't want to fall into that trap. At the end of the day, I just, felt like do as I just do what I do, and I post about it, but I don't sit there and sort of preach to people about what they should do.
Yeah.
I'm a man of faith. I'm not going to shy away from that. At the start, I was like, oh, you know what, maybe it's not worth talking about it. Now it's like, you know what, yeah, I should talk about it, because at the end of the day, people, like I recently went to Saudi Arabia. I did Umrah, which is the pilgrimage, and I did it during Ramadan. And I posted a photo of me in front of the Kaaba, in front of Mecca, and I think I lost about 1,237 followers in 24 hours, right? At the start, I was like, why would anyone unfollow someone because of faith? Or, like a bit like you posting something, about Easter or, like mass or anything like that, me being like, nah, don't worry, I should just follow, unfollow the page, right? At the end of the day, I found that as a mechanism to filter out the shit people anyway. These are the people that I wouldn't want watching my content. These are the people that when I'm out in the street and they come up to me and say, oh, I actually love your videos, I don't want them coming up to me, because if you can't coexist with someone with a different religion or different belief system or anything like that, you're probably a trash person, if I'm being completely honest. And that's my filtration system. At the start, I was like really hesitant because, a lot of Islamophobia, content out there and everything like that. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm top of the funnel for faith. And this goes for any faith. I'm just going to tell you, I practice, I believe in God. What you do with that information, that's completely up to you, up for translation. But I shouldn't shy away from me practicing, shouldn't make you feel a certain way. If anything, I'm more supportive of anyone who's faithful. I've had mates that have turned back to the church, like after they, like whatever they did when they were younger, turn back to the church and, they give back to the community. And if anything, they can do more because they've got the life experience, because the kids will listen to them, the elders will listen to them, or the elders will give more responsibility. Same thing with the mosque. There are some people in those places of worship that have had, there are some people that have come from bad pasts and have even brighter futures than someone who's had a potential bright future their whole life. So, that's why I'm like, I'll just practice, I'll put it out there. And if someone gets inspired, cool. If someone, looks at it and is like, oh, you know what, who cares about this guy? That's also cool with me. But yeah, but in terms of like direct content, I don't want to fall into the trap of being preachy or anything like that.
Yeah,
my focus is comedy, entertainment. I think comedy is maybe not, but entertainment.
No, it definitely is.
And I just put out entertaining content for the masses.
Yeah.
And that's what my focus is on. Because the moment you start chasing two rabbits, you end up with none.
Damn, that's a good line.
Thank you.
Do you know what I do love about that though? It's we live to some degree, social media is a very fake world. And when I see things like that, where you've got a persona on social media, and you've got the labels, like, you're a comedian, influencer. Do you consider yourself an influencer?
I don't consider myself an influencer. I'm just a guy, honestly. I'm just a guy who makes videos. Whatever you want to get from that, you get from that, whether it's entertainment or whether it's influence or anything. I just create content. That's all I do. I'm passionate about it. I love it. I breathe it. The numbers side, the media side, collaborating, working with people, doing things like that. That's all I do. If you want to call me an influencer, sure, call me an influencer. But
I'll put that label on it.
Yeah, but at the end, like I think that's just easier to sort of explain to people. Because whenever I say like, I make videos, people are like, what kind of videos do you make? I make these videos. Oh, so how do you make money from? And it's just like a downward spiral. What's these days, you just tell people you're an influencer. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get what you do.
Yeah. So God, I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Influencer. The label. Yes, the label. And the world that we live in is it's very fake. And then you speak about religion and you speak about faith and you speak about, I guess, the core and the foundation of life. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you, because I find that so inspiring, and it's so hard to find people like you that don't necessarily shy away from, you know, those topics like talking about religion or talking about things that matter in the world, regardless of the crap that you would receive. And I'm sure you receive a fair bit of trolling or a fair bit of crap. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the internet. You know, if you don't know them personally, they'll take it personally. You know, that's the way I see it. You know, anytime I get messages, the thick skin is there. I get my fair share of messages, fair share of comments or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I tell everyone, I'm like, if you can sit there, type up a negative comment or message, read it again and think, you know what, this is a good idea. I'm going to make sure that person knows this, and press post and then read it again and interact with other people that are interacting with that comment. You can't be mentally right.
Yes.
And, you know, why would I lower myself to that level of, like incompetence or, like whatever. I have never seen anything on the internet and felt so strong about it that I had to leave a comment. Ever. So for someone to feel that strongly about it is obviously there's something there that's triggered within them. And sometimes one of the main reasons I don't take it personally is sometimes some people are just having a shit day. And imagine you have the shittest day and then you jump on your phone and the first thing you see is me saying, if Albanians and Afghanistan had a baby, it'd be called Dandenong. And they'll be like, man, fuck this guy. Right? So like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it as well. And, it's the internet. You know, people are very comfortable with saying stuff that they would never, ever say in person.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I've learned that comes with the territory. I learned that's part of the game.
Yep.
And it's completely fine with me. However, if that sort of spills over in person, that's a different story. I'm from the northern suburbs of Melbourne and I tell everyone, if you really want to take this personally, you see me in person. Come up to me and let's scrap. I got the 16 ounces in the car. I'll pull out the gloves, we'll go at it. But no. I don't like it. All in all jokes aside, like it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you would have built a resilience, like you were saying, when you were a kid, being a chubby kid, people calling you teddy bear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they meant it in a degrading way, but you build thick skin.
Of course.
Over time. And
this would teach you, I guess, a hell of a lot of resilience. But at the beginning, when you first started all of this, did you have that level of resilience?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense of like sometimes like I just got it. Like I played video games growing up. There were people that would talk shit in lobbies all day, every day. You turn off the computer, go to sleep like nothing happened. So like I also knew like that was a big part of the internet. And there's sometimes like I'll be having a shit day. So imagine like I have a shit day. I jump on my phone and the first thing I say I'll read. It's like something negative about myself. And then that sort of eats at me. At the start when I first started making videos, there were days where I was just like, man, is this even worth it? Or, sometimes people will be like, it's the internet, right? People will say stupid stuff like, I know where you train. I'm going to come see you. Or I know and I'll just be like, all right, cool. Yeah. Right? But then again, if you're having a shit day and you see that, you're like, I don't want to be hanging out at that place now. Because what if it is a real threat? What if it is, someone who genuinely felt like some sort of ill intent from my videos? And then you just, that plays on your mind. Then
has anyone ever said something online and actually come up to you in person?
No, not really. Okay. I've only ever had one person come up to me and like I was sitting at a cafe in Sydney and this gentleman come up to me and like he come up to me, he looked at me, he looked at me like he knew me, but he looked like white as a ghost. Like it's like he looked at me as if I was a ghost. And I was just like, I'm in Sydney, I'm not in a place where, I'm around familiar people. So I'm just like, all right, like I'm sort of, not on edge, but I'm like a bit anxious. Like this guy's just coming up to me. He's like, oh, hey, you're Teddy, yeah? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, "You the one who makes videos, yeah?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, I just wanted to apologize. And I'm like, "For what, man?" He's like, "I sent you like a really nasty message. And, I saw you, like I walked into this cafe, I saw you and I felt like I had to come up to you
Love that.
and apologize." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it's all good." He's like, no. Like, the main reason I felt so, inclined to come up and apologize to you because you actually responded to my message. And my response to his message was, "Brother, you're messaging from your business page." I could literally post your business right now and tell people to go on Google review a 1 star and destroy your business. People would prank call you your business. People would like harm your staff. People would do stupid stuff on the internet. Why would you send me a negative message to someone who has ultimately some sort of power to destroy your business? And then he doubled down on it and started being even more abusive. Mind you, this was cold. He wasn't replying to a video or a story or anything. This was just cold, just flat out. Like messaging me directly. I just blocked him. And obviously that last message, because I didn't stoop down to his level, sat with him for so long.
Yeah.
So imagine walking to a random cafe and the one person you abused for no reason, and then he just come up to me and apologize. And I'm like, "Yeah, cool. That's all good, man. Like whatever." No, I mean, no skin off my nose.
Yeah.
Bro, you do you, I do me. At the end of the day, I'm at it. Whether you think my content is shit, whether you think my content is good, like honestly, I don't take compliments personally and I don't take the negative stuff personally. At the end of the day, I make videos for the enjoyment of it. Whatever comes with it is just literally bonus. It's just cream on top. So, and it was a bit awkward because like he sat for like 10, 15 minutes and I think he just felt so uncomfortable and guilty. Ended up walking out.
Sat talking to you or
No,
sat in
like
the
sat like two tables away and I
okay.
think he just sort of felt like, oh man, like this guy actually took it like a champ and was just honest about it. And I'm like, yeah, man, dude, I don't know you, man. I don't know you. I don't care what you have to say, whether it's online. Like I respect you for coming up and apologizing. But dude, like, this goes to show the power of the internet. You think you're a macho man only for that macho-ness to come back and backfire on you. So
Are you a overthinker?
sometimes, there were times where growing up, I didn't think much, to be honest. But, I think ever since like creating content, I've had no choice but to overthink. And sometimes like, life happens and as life happens, things happen along the way that, make you really second guess, triple guess, whatever you want to say, like 10 times guess yourself and sort of like decisions that you're making and also decisions that other people make that somehow have some sort of trickle down effect on you. Why do you ask that?
That's an interesting response. Because firstly, the way you articulate yourself, when I ask you a question, you're so in depth, you cover everything and it's like you've really thought these answers out and you've created this identity of who you are, right? And it's like you've really solidified on this is who I choose to be in the world. This is who, and these parts I don't really know too much about and I'm okay to be content that I don't know too much about that. But the way you speak, there's no uncertainty. It's like you're certain about the uncertainty and you're certain about who you are choosing to be. Like it's a very solid, for I guess somebody who's in your very early 30s, in this space of social media where there is so much influence and it would be so much like you'd be invited to events where it's all very superficial and just wanting to, I guess other people in your position would be just wanting to fit in. But it's like I sit here talking to you and you know who you are. That's what I feel. I feel like you've just got a solid heart. I don't know anything about your childhood, but I feel like you've got a very solid mum, dad, family life. And you're a father of 2 beautiful little girls. How old are they again?
My eldest is 6 and my second one is 5th. Fifth. Well, she's 5 years old. We've got a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old.
A 5 and a 6-year-old.
Yep.
And you being their dad, those girls, man, they've got a lot to look up to.
Yeah, thank you.
And I just from a space of, I'm not going to get emotional, but I just love seeing a man who is solid in who they are, and they would know how to treat, whether it's women or girls or, just I'm really trying to just get my thoughts in place. But
so whilst you do that, I grew up in a family of my mum's side is all aunties. So I grew up.
Okay. So
all
you've had a
girls.
lot of women in
in
your
my life. I've got 2 sisters. My mum pretty much stayed home for, like majority of our childhood till she went back to work. So it's just one of those things that was sort of like ingrained in me at such a young age, sort of know how to treat women, how to be good, with my daughters. And also like the way the world's going, it's probably most important to show up for them. We've seen how the world is with, like whether it's deadbeat dads or absent fathers and everything like that. And my nightmare would be to, like it's for my children to end up like that. And I think sort of I can learn from my parents' mistakes because, like they're the ones that came to this country. My father came to this country. My mum was born here. They obviously, we live in a time where like you can literally search up anything on social media or ChatGPT and it'll give you the answers. They grew up in an era they didn't have the answers. And now, like with all the answers that we have and, learning from their mistakes, it'll be a disservice for me not to show up for my daughters, no matter how small, no matter how big it is. And, whether it's just like eating sushi every, Tuesday, Wednesday with the girls, or, like after this, I'm picking up my daughters and we're going to go have dinner together. Something, that small, like I'll look back at my life and my core memories are when my parents showed up for me. Like I didn't care about like how big, like value wise or monetary, like how, my dad bought me this or my mum bought me that. It was always like, when did they show up? And for me, I'll just keep showing up for my daughters no matter how little or no matter how big that, the circumstance is.
Because I know, and I don't want to talk about it, but you've obviously gone through a divorce recently.
Yes.
And my biggest thing is the co-parenting. Like I co-parent too. I'm a divorced individual. Right? But the co-parenting can be a really tricky one. So how have you navigated that after?
Definitely. So obviously like been through the divorce, it's been a year. It's been a year since that. And I guess it's amicable.
Good.
And I think we sort of both realized, the mother of my kids and myself, if we don't keep the kids at the forefront of mind, it's not going to work out. Right. So with the co-parenting, it's just like, cool, this is what helps you. This is what helps me. Let's try and sort of find a compromise in the middle that sort of helps both of us, but is also in the best interest of the, girls. Right. And, like co-parenting is tough. It's, it's not easy. There are days where I'm traveling, I can't be there. And then there are days where, there are special events or whether there's things going on in their mum's life that she's got to attend to as well. And I guess it's just one of those things that, it's a Rubik's Cube that will sort of be, playing around with until they're at an age where, they can just turn around and be like, I actually don't want to go to dad's house or I don't want to go to mum's house. And that's okay. But for now, just keep both kids at the forefront of mind and, do what is best going to serve them.
What advice would you give other dads going through something like what you went through?
It's tough without any context, but I think the most general advice that I can give anyone really is, try and be as good as possible with your ex-partner. I know, like, obviously without context, it's very hard to give advice, but just try and be as amicable as possible, as civil as possible, and keep the kids' interests at the forefront of mind, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that get hurt. You look at most divorces, it's the kids that cop it. It's never the dad, never the mum. I mean, they cop it, but not to the degree of the kids. So I think just try to be as amicable and civil as possible. I know that's hard for a lot of people. And sometimes you just got to put emotion aside and just realize that, hey, you know what me and my ex-partner, might not see eye to eye on certain things. And we have had our sort of, like misunderstandings, miscommunications and everything down that path. But at the end of the day, these are my kids. Got to look out for them. What's going to serve them best. That's my best advice.
And what about resilience and mindset for your kids? How do you teach them about resilience and dealing with, conflict at school or dealing with crap that, this person's not giving me this, or sharing, or all those little things that kids deal with? What do you teach them?
I teach them, I'm like, whoever they are, give me their name and I'll make a video about them and we'll get it sorted. And I'll trash their suburb too. Nah, I just, honestly, I just tell my kids, be firm but fair. That's probably my best advice for my kids, that I always remind them. I keep telling them, I keep reassuring them, you're beautiful, you're great, I love you, you're beautiful and you matter. And as long as I tell them that, they're going to go out and they're going to, reflect that, whatever's inwards, they're going to reflect out, right? That's why you see most of the kids that were bullies in school, they're always like, they probably got bashed at home, or like things that were happening in their life that were so far out of their control that they'd come back and sort of, put that on other kids at school. So I just really like consistently remind my kids that I'll tell my daughters, you're beautiful, I love you, and you matter. Everything else after that, just be firm but fair. Stand up for yourself, especially as girls. There are a lot of boys that are going to be out there that are going to sort of try like put it over you or anything like that. But remember who you are, be strong, and be firm but fair with everyone else.
What advice do you, like if you had to remember something that your dad taught you without actually telling you, what do you remember? What advice would you think that he would have wanted for you?
So I'm probably going to go with the same. I just dropped him off at the airport before I did this podcast.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So recency bias is just don't be lazy. Like that's the one thing that is sort of like ingrained like from such a young age. It's like, man, you're lazy. You don't realize the opportunity. Like I came to Australia for you to have a better opportunity. Don't be lazy. And sometimes that's just, like I said, whenever I have a staff meeting, it's me, myself and I just sometimes need to remind myself, just don't be lazy. Because sometimes the one thing that you need to get done, you just procrastinate. You're like, I'll get it done later. And then you feel even more stressed and anxious because you've just delayed it when you could have just done it initially. And then sort of like being like, all right, yeah, cool. I won't have any stress or any anxiety or anything like that. I don't want any sort of like stress equity, like being carried over in my life.
Stress equity.
Yeah, stress equity and sweat equity. Those are my two favorite things. So stress equity in the sense of, something you can sort of, like you can carry with you, and sweat equity obviously being work.
I like those terms.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah. You're more than welcome to use them. But yeah, don't carry the stress equity. Just don't be lazy. Get shit done. Make the to-do list, get them done and tick those boxes. That's the main advice that my dad gave me, because my dad's from like a small town in Morocco where everyone is just sort of, just fishermen, whatever I fish for the day, we'll eat that for the day. He's like, I left that life to come to Australia for, more opportunities, more everything. You're born and raised here. You've got the language, you know better. You've got the tools, be resourceful and don't be lazy and get at it. And that's what I'm doing. Honestly, I just stick to the basics. That's what people are like, what are your plans? 5-year plan, 2-year plan. I'm like, bro, I don't even know what I'm going to have for lunch, but I know I'm going to show up, not be lazy, and just be the best version of myself every single time I show up.
What about from your mum?
From my mum, I think she's just taught me about empathy. I think my mum taught me a lot about empathy because, she works in the disability sector, right? So you really don't know what someone really is going through. She's worked with AOD, mental health and disability throughout most of her life for Melbourne City Mission. And, like the one thing that I learned from her is empathy. You just got to, you got to make sure you understand how people, how sometimes you sonder, like you look at other people and you just think like, man, these people are just living their own life. They're the main character in their own life. They've got their own complexities, their own problems and everything like that. And just having empathy for people in the sense of, same thing with comments online. Just having empathy for those people of like, hey, this person could be having the worst day possible. Someone's missus kicked them out of the house and told them like, get out, like I'm sick of you. And then my head pops up. I just have empathy for those people, and just be understanding of, that people could be going through their own issues and just keep that in mind, keep that at the forefront of mind.
What is next for you?
Next for me, honestly, the next 6 months, I'm really focusing on streaming. I think that's live streaming is sort of like the next big thing. Podcasting. If I told you start a podcast 10 years ago, it's going to be huge, you probably would have done it.
Yeah,
yes,
no, probably would. Yes, of course.
Yes, if someone told you 10 years ago start podcasting,
if
given
it was
the right
going
circumstances,
to be huge.
Yeah, like it's going to be huge. Start podcasting now.
Yes.
You'd probably be 1,000 episodes in plus.
Yeah, for sure,
right?
for sure.
And it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in that 10 years now of that live streaming. So that's a focus for the next 6 months.
Okay. So what would you be live streaming exactly? So would it be like, is there a particular game here? This
goes to show the age difference right here, right? Live streaming, there's games.
Yes.
There's
but what games?
just chatting.
Like, is there a
anything.
particular...
I'll play Roblox. I tell people, I'm like, I'll game with my daughter live. I don't care. And sometimes it's not even about the games. You don't have to be a gun at games to live stream. You just got to be engaging and entertaining. Sometimes it's just watch along live stream.
I struggle to understand the fascination here because my son does this. My son asks me to research these people on Instagram and And I'm like, who? Like, I don't understand how they become so big and what the fascination is by watching somebody play a game. Don't you want to just play the game?
Yes and no, because sometimes you play a game and you might not play it the way they play it. And sometimes, like I said, it's not even about playing the game. Sometimes it's just the watch along of like seeing how this person plays. And, you know, whether, because there's streamers that are super skillful and there's streamers that are just entertainment, and no one watches TV anymore. Like, let's face it. I'd like, whenever I sit down and eat, I'm putting on YouTube. I'm putting on a streamer. I'm putting on something like that because I want something to watch along. If the UFC is on, if Collingwood versus Carlton on Friday, wouldn't you want to watch it? Like, we live in a time where, wouldn't you want to watch it with someone else? We live in a time where the loneliness is at an all-time high. So sometimes for these people, it's like, I love watching Collingwood play and I'd love to watch it with this comedian that I follow online. You know, the influencer that I, you know, like I look up to, I enjoy watching. He's watching the Collingwood, let me watch it with him. And, you know, I can engage and that person engages back with the comments and the chat and everything like that. So I feel like that's the thing behind it. There's also IRL, which is in real life. So for example, like, yeah, we go out and do things, you know, like, I'll take $5,000 going to time zone and let's see what $5,000 can get me if I play out time zone.
Okay, that I like.
So there's stuff like that.
Okay,
sometimes it's just linking up with other influencers or content creators. Oh, you know, there's someone who's a bodybuilder. Cool, he can take me through training legs and people can watch it live.
Yeah.
And sometimes that live thing is like 2-3 hours long and you can get like 20 pieces of content from that. And those are videos for you to post because they're just funny moments.
Okay.
So that's where the live streaming is. And I think it's just like a more authentic way to sort of produce content because if something is live, you can't edit it.
That is true.
Right?
That
So
is true.
people are going to fall in
Well,
love.
you're pretty good, like, on it. You're always on it.
Thank
Good
you.
to
I
see.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
No, thank you. I try to stay on the pulse.
Yeah.
But yeah. So live streaming and then hopefully a stand-up comedy tour. Yeah. That's in the works.
Okay.
No promises, but that's something I want to work towards. You know, I spent the last year sort of just focusing on life and sort of getting my life together and focusing on my mental health and work and everything and sort of like staying on my 2 feet, staying grounded. Sort of like I think late this year, it might be a bit too late for that. So maybe like Jan, Feb, looking to doing a stand-up comedy tour, looking at Australia and New Zealand, hopefully. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Coming to that,
And
that's for
it.
sure.
Oh, definitely. Hey, tickets are sorted, yeah?
I love it.
And then, yeah, so those are the two main big things.
Okay.
Everything else in between is just like whatever comes up, you know, whatever interesting opportunities there are to take on board, I'll take them with both hands. You know, I don't take this stuff for granted. I respect my craft and in return, my craft respects me. So
Yes, it does. I love that. All right. Well, I can't believe how quickly that time went, but I have one last question. So imagine this podcast went viral. Everyone in the world saw it. What is one message that you would give the world?
the one message is show up. No matter what you do in your life, show up. For your people, show up. Creating content, show up. And when I say show up, I mean actually be present and be there in the moment. We live in a time where people are there, lights on, but no one's home, right? And it happens, right? Especially if you're down and out. It's very easy to fall into the trap of just not being present or not, you know, being fully focused on what you're doing. Just show up for your people. Community is super important, so show up for community. And in turn, one day, community will show up for you. I went to a funeral, which I know this is sort of like a dark way to end it, but I went to a funeral recently and this gentleman lived by himself for the last, let's say, 25 to 26 years. And he had a choice. He had a choice to mingle with the community or disregard the community and live on his own. For the past 25, 26 years, he decided to live on his own. And he passed away. There was 2 days where no one found his body. Someone smelt his body. And then in turn, they had to bust down the door and find him completely dead. We took him, they went to the mosque, we buried him. We were going to go bury him. And the guys at the mosque were like, so who's going to take him to lower him into his grave? And there was not one person there.
Oh.
And, you know, me and my uncle put our hands up. We're like, you know what, we'll come. So we prayed, we took him to the graveyard and we lowered his body into the grave. And he had a choice. He had a choice to engage with the community. And there could have been at least a handful of people that were there to lower his body into the grave, or disengage and stay away from everyone and everything. And then on your final legs, there's no one there for you. And which is a sad reality that it took me a death and a funeral to realize that you should definitely stay engaged with community, stay engaged with people, no matter how hard it gets to be with friends and family. It is super important to show up for them, because I know one day down the track, there's going to be a time. I'm showing up now. I showed up when, like Alia was born. So when Adina was born, I showed up when Alia was born. I showed up on days that I'd finished from a shift at Derrimut. I still show up and make videos. I'd show up when I'd have an argument with my ex-wife, or my wife at the time. I'd still show up and make videos. Going through a divorce, I still showed up for people, because I know one day, there's going to be one day that when that funeral does come, I know those people all show up for me. And, there's nothing more important than that. So make sure you show up and connect with people and stay engaged with community.
Damn. That was powerful. I think that sums up your aura, your mantra of resilience and determination and discipline and empathy and all of that in one. Like this was more powerful than I realized, and I appreciate you, Mr. Rachid.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Honestly, it was an honor. This is Teddy, Tedsthetics, Rachid, whatever you call me. At the end of the day, I'm just showing up for you. Knowing one day when I do start my podcast or do something, yes, I know you'll show up for me as well, Sherien.
100%.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. It was an absolute honor.
Thank you.
And like you said, it felt like a 10-minute conversation.
I know, it definitely did. We're part 2, yeah?
Hey.
It has to happen now.
Hey, she's got it on camera. So
has to happen now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Anytime.